Hello again. They say that the more things change, the more they stay the same. This is a very apt saying when we consider the case of successive Home Secretaries striking deals with the French, supposedly aimed at preventing illegal immigrants from nipping over to this country from the French coast and claiming asylum. Listen to this and see if it rings any bells. The Home Secretary announces in the Commons that an agreement has been signed with the French government for a range of measures to establish immigration controls and border security operations in northern France. Why, this could have been taken from this morning's newspaper. In fact, it's a quotation from The Guardian for Monday, December the 2nd, 2002, 20 years ago. I give a link to this in the description to this video, and the thumbnail to this video shows David Blunkett, the then Home Secretary, and Nicolas Sarkozy of France, supposedly reaching an amicable agreement about asylum seekers coming to this country from France. I also give a link to a BBC News item from May 2002, when David Blunkett was introducing the Nationality, Asylum and Immigration Bill. This gave the government the power to send asylum seekers out of Britain within days and returning them to the last safe country through which they passed, which was of course France. Anybody remember all this and ever wonder why those powers have not been used? In fact, every Home Secretary for the last couple of decades has struck similar deals with France, and yet the number of illegal immigrants coming here from the French coast has increased exponentially. How is this possible? There are two explanations that we might tender. One is that we have been cursed with enormously stupid and inefficient Home Secretaries and politicians over the last 20 years, along with 7 successive Prime Ministers who were always in a muddle and could never quite get round to solving the problem of illegal immigration. This stretches credulity. I can readily imagine the occasional stupid Home Secretary or useless Prime Minister, but I cannot persuade myself that this has been the case continuously over the course of 20 years. The other explanation would be that no British government has really wanted to deal with this situation, and that in fact tens of thousands of illegal immigrants, 1,500 over this weekend alone, is somehow not an undesirable state of affairs at all, but ties in with long-term plans. By this reading of the situation, none of the Prime Minister or Home Secretaries, from David Blunkett through to Priti Patel and Suella Braverman, have ever really wanted to get a grip on immigration. Their efforts to do so have all been window dressing, a make-believe performance for public consumption. In fact, they're pleased to see the steady stream of foreigners entering the country and diluting the numbers of native British folk living here. Now, I freely admit this sounds perilously like a conspiracy theory, but there cannot be the least doubt that something strange is going on. Just to make the point, let me read out the powers that the government already has under the 2002 Nationality, Asylum and Immigration Act. I give a link to this legislation in the description to this video. And let me emphasise, this is the law. This is the situation right now. We read under the heading Asylum Claims by Persons with Connections to Safe Third State, and that the Secretary of State may declare an asylum claim made by a person who has a connection with a safe third state inadmissible. An asylum claim declared inadmissible cannot be considered under the immigration rules. Well, that's plain enough. Okay, who is a person with a connection to a third state? Here is the definition. If the claimant was previously present in and eligible to make a relevant claim to the safe third state, and it would have been reasonable to expect them to make such a claim, and they failed to do so. In plain language, the current Home Secretary already has the power in law to declare every application for asylum from every single one of those illegal immigrants from France inadmissible, and once she's done that, their claims cannot be considered. She could do that today if she wished, for every single one of those 1,500 people who arrived over the weekend from France. There is no need for a backlog of claims at all, because they are all inadmissible in law, and if the Home Secretary simply declared them inadmissible, then the courts would not be allowed to consider them. In short, the asylum seekers crisis could be ended this morning, if anybody in the government wished to do so. That they will not use these powers suggests to me that they do not really wish to prevent the flood of illegal immigrants across the Channel. We are actually cooperating with those organising it by offering to collect people and bring them to this country. We are being comprehensively tricked and deceived about what is going on.